It was mid-afternoon when the HOA decided to escalate their antics again. Karen had organized a wedding on my patio without permission, apparently believing she could assert control over my property for her personal events. What she didn't know was that my patio wasn't just a patio. It had a tilt mechanism installed beneath it, capable of adjusting its level or retracting sections for safety and maintenance purposes. And, as luck would have it, I had just completed a routine check of the system. I noticed activity on the security cameras. A tent had been set up, tables arranged, and guests milling around, completely oblivious to the fact that they were on private property. Karen was at the center of it all, clipboard in hand, giving instructions and making it clear she thought she owned the place. I calmly activated the PA system. "Karen, you are trespassing. The patio is private property, and any unauthorized events will be considered illegal. Leave immediately." Karen ignored the warning. "This is the HOA's right. Everyone is invited. It's legal," she shouted, waving her phone at nearby neighbors as if to gather support. I stepped outside, walking toward the patio, while remotely activating the tilt mechanism. The patio slowly began a subtle adjustment, tilting slightly, enough to create minor instability for the setup but not enough to endanger anyone. Chairs wobbled slightly, a table leg shifted, and the guests murmured in confusion. Karen's face went pale as she realized something was wrong. I pressed another button, and a section of the patio retracted gently, just enough to block access to the center area where Karen had set up the ceremonial space. Guests were guided safely to stable sections while Karen panicked, running to the middle, trying to assert control, but every step she took was documented by the security cameras. "Karen," I said over the PA system, "this is private property. You have no authority here. Leave immediately, or law enforcement will be contacted." She waved her arms and shouted about HOA privileges, completely oblivious to the fact that she had triggered both automated safety measures and real-time law enforcement notifications. Deputies, already monitoring the situation remotely from alerts triggered by my property sensors, were en route. Within minutes, deputies arrived on site. Karen tried to argue, insisting that the HOA could authorize events on private property. The deputies calmly verified the property deeds and confirmed that the patio was owned by me, not the HOA. Karen's claims crumbled instantly. She had trespassed, caused a disturbance, and attempted to assert authority without any legal basis. Guests were escorted off the patio safely, and the tilt mechanism returned to its standard, secure position. Karen was formally warned for trespassing, harassment, and interference with private property. My security logs had captured every movement, every command, and every trespassing action, creating an airtight record should legal proceedings be necessary. Neighbors who had witnessed the scene were stunned. Karen had thought she could use the HOA to host a wedding on private property. Instead, she had triggered property security measures, law enforcement intervention, and public embarrassment, all while the patio and guests remained safe. By the end of the day, the patio was secure, the event had been halted, and Karen had learned an expensive and humiliating lesson. The HOA board was notified, her privileges revoked, and she faced potential legal consequences for her trespassing and interference. Karen had thought hosting a wedding on my patio would assert HOA control. Instead, she triggered security measures, law enforcement documentation, and public humiliation, all while my property remained fully protected. Karen tried to commandeer my patio for a wedding. Instead, she faced humiliation, legal consequences, and permanent loss of HOA privileges, proving once again that rogue HOA members cannot interfere with private property without consequences.